Hundreds of women protested in the Nigerian capital on Monday to push for a bill that will add women-only seats in the Senate and House of Representatives. Several African countries from Senegal to Rwanda have increased the number of women legislators by using quota systems. Nigeria, which lacks such a system, currently has only 4 women senators out of 109 and 16 women in the 360-member House of Representatives. The special seats bill seeks to amend the 1999 Constitution to reserve 10% of seats in the National Assembly for women and 5% for persons with disabilities across Nigeria's 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Joining us on this show to discuss the clamor for the reserved seat bill, the push for special seats for women in the National and State Assemblies, is Ene Obi, former ActionAid Nigeria Country Director. Good morning, Ene Obi. Good to have you on the program.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, very quickly, we've been on this matter of women representation for years. Nigeria was at Beijing, Beijing +5, Beijing +10. Nigeria even has a national gender policy. The national gender policy, in line with the spirit of CEDAW, talks about 35% affirmative action. In 2020, about 9 organizations, including FIDA, went to court to challenge the Nigerian government to implement that 35% affirmative action in the gender policy. In 2022, the Federal High Court, sitting in Abuja, gave an order that the Nigerian government should respect its own national gender policy. This is 2025. We're still talking about special reserved seats for women simply because the Nigerian government has refused to obey court order or to respect its own obligations under international law, something that is not a problem in Senegal, Rwanda, Zambia, South Africa. Any hope that there will be any progress or success with these special reserved seats for Nigerian women? Are you optimistic, or this will go the way of other efforts in the past?
Thank you very much for the question, but I think this time it has its own unique formation. Never in the history of our women's movement have we seen where the National Assembly itself is really rooting for this bill on special seats. If you can recollect the National Assembly, I'm sure you were there, and you really, Ruben, you were there, and you were in the process at that time. In 2025, we had a 6th Assembly that the reading about the inclusion of women went into the 3rd reading. One of the things that it didn't have then was that everybody was like, if you have to reserve 30% seats for women, who wants to lose their seats and all of that? The bill died at the 3rd reading. We also have, the 7th Assembly, the 9th Assembly. It was in the 9th Assembly that we had the gender bills, 5 gender bills that were thrown out at a particular point. But that bill got 89, members in the House of Representatives, in terms of the voting. And so we cannot say that we are where we were. Of course, when they threw out the gender bills, women's movement, including myself, we locked down the main gate of the National Assembly. We still left the front door open, to say, go and take decisions. We were not violent. We were in the front of the National Assembly for 4 legislative weeks. The beauty about this is that the House of Representatives, they provided great leadership. And I would say the National Assembly. In terms of this bill, for the very first time in Nigeria, in 2024, the House of Representative leadership under Right Honorable Abbas Hassan, celebrated Nigerian women in the International, Day for Women on March 8, 2024. That was so unique. It was their own initiative, and they came out with it, and it was very, very massive. So it was celebrated. So for the first time in Nigeria, that was happening in the National Assembly. And then it was attended, I remember very well that they attended, of course it was led by the deputy speaker, Honorable Benjamin Kalu. We are very, very grateful to the leadership of the House of Representatives for what they have done. And they still held, IWD for women this year. This bill emerged. The Honorable Benjamin Kalu, we engaged him a lot and many others during the lockdown in 2022. And he promised he was going to do something about it. So we are quite excited. But even when you retract, you see that in the 9th Assembly, Honorable Nkiruka Onyegocha was the one who proposed the bill then. It received a lot of support, but not enough to pass the bill. Now we are having, in the 10th Assembly, we have Honorable Benjamin Kalu bringing out the bill very strong. We even look back on the 9th Assembly, distinguished Senator Mongunu also brought the bill. So the bill has been there, and we have Honorable Kafiliat also bringing a bill. We also have the Gender Equal Opportunity Bill that is before the Senate as well. And so we have a lot of things that is coming. You don't need to convince the speaker. From the speeches that we have heard from him last year, this year, and continuously, and even for him to inaugurate a committee of civil society organizations, government officials, and everyone to come together to say, let's struggle for this bill, let's fight for this bill. And so I think it is very, very unique. The bill, the last time that the bill was thrown out, we didn't know who voted and who did not vote. Okay. I think it's the right of the citizens to know who voted and did not vote. So I think we have a lot of support.
Excellent. I'm glad that you believe that you have a lot of support, and I think it's quite significant that the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives is championing this bill. But I want to ask you, because for this bill to become law, it has to be passed by the Joint National Assembly, so the Senate and the House of Representatives, to third of the House, and also to third of the State House of Assemblies across the nation, which is 24 of them. How do you hope to gain the support? So if you're able to at least get the National Assembly on your side, what are you doing to mobilize support on the state front, especially in some areas that can be said to be quite patriarchal and are not yet ready to see that emergence of more women in positions of authority?
I want to thank you very much, but let me also refer to the question by Ruben, to say that the 35% affirmative action, which the court had given a ruling to women, I think we have not organized enough. We're trying to reshape ourselves, in terms of the Women Agency, to challenge the fact that up until this moment, you are having appointments in the different levels at the political lives and not being challenged. We need to challenge the government in court. We need to, for every appointment that they make, because the law, is it lawlessness or what? The political will has not been there. I think it was the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari, of blessed memory now, promised 40%. The women, even the national policy on women, promised 40%. Now, when we came in for the public hearing on the 22nd, which was 2 days ago, women came from the 36 states of the country, including, the FCT and different walks of life, different organizations. You have Federation of International Women Lawyers that is located in the 36 states of the country, and FCT. You have NAWOJ, have the same location. You have the League of Women Voters. You have Women in Politics Forum. You have 100 Women Lobby Group. You have a huge follower of a national, that's a NCWS, which is Nigerian, Council for Women's Society. The president was with us there, and then a DG. We took off that day from the Women's Center, Mariam Babangida, Women's Center, and Mariam Babangida of blessed memory left an edifice. We took off from there and went straight in a convoy to the National Assembly. The issue here is, yes, from the zonal public hearings, women went to each of the zonal hearings that were held by the House of Representatives and also by the Senate as well. Now we know that the bill is before, the Senate is before but the process that happens is that when, the House has finished its own, it will go into the committee. We have the Deputy Speaker, who is the chairman of the Constitution Committee for the House of Representatives. You have the Deputy Senate President, who is the chairman of the Constitution Committee in the Senate. There is a harmonization that happens, and then the voting. After now, what we are hoping for is the voting. On the voting day, women will be there. We are not going to block the road in the National Assembly, but we'll be there. At the organizing, we know that we need 2/3 in terms of representation. We are calling on women across, not just women, those who are supporting the bill. Know your House of Representative member. Know your senator. Know your House of Assembly member so that we can hold them responsible. The governors are there. We are hoping that we get positive environment, but we are mobilizing because we are located in all the states of the Federation. So it's a big movement of women that will work across the board. As you understand, we have just 109 out of, 109 members, only 4 women. In that 4 women, 1 has been comatose because of the suspension. We hope that we are now hearing that they have unsealed her office. We hope that they will come back because in the last 6 months, 1 seat was missing, which means we had only 3 women in the House. And then you have that. In 14 houses of assembly, not a single woman. And what is the bill really saying? We say we want 37 seats extra for Senate. Women need to, women are the ones who are going to contest under political parties and be voted for. 37 extra seats, that is in each state and the FCT. Women will contest for the House of Representatives so that we have additional members. What we have now is not in accordance with international standards. It's really shameful because when our parliamentarians go for meeting, the women are not there and they just, you're looking at yourself. They can correct it now with the balance. So we are mobilizing at the grassroots level with all the development partners, group on gender that we received a lot of support. We are grateful. Nigerian women are grateful. And the women before us, we are grateful to them. We have to stand, and we ask every woman to stand upright for women in this country. Stand upright for our children, because women don't have tribe. You are married, you are somewhere, I'm married, I'm from Benue, I'm married to somebody from Anambra State. We have women cross-cutting. Some people are married to people outside the country. We are, the tribe of women is humanity. We are not tribalized. We care for our children, and our children means male and female. Who is talking about women's issues now? Chibok girls are still in captivity. Okay. Women are dying in their maternity death road. And the quality of any decision depends on who is in the boardroom.
Okay. Real quickly, I want you to talk about what has happened in the Senate to a woman all this while, and some of the things that your association have done as regards that. Because it will be said in our country, what did we all do when that happened? And the fact that we have a government in power today that campaigned heavily on the Chibok girls. 10 years on, I'm saying government of APC, 91 girls are still missing, according to a report that was released recently. And there's no accountability.
The issues of accountability, I was there when the issue of Natasha came. I think I was facilitating a training for national women political leaders. I decided not to, go out into the media to talk about it because I mediated, between the parties. And I can tell you that, after when we're having that meeting of the national women political leaders, we had a meeting. We invited also Honorable Benjamin Kalu to the meeting. We had Senator Riti Kingibe. We have the representative of the Minister for Women, and we were talking. When I was speaking, I spoke before the Deputy Speaker, and I said we are going to visit Senator Akpabio, the President of the Senate. Women of Nigeria are going to visit him, and when he took the microphone, and when he was going to speak, Deputy Speaker said, "Kulu, kulu, kulu temper." When there is room for dialogue, you don't go on protest. Take some women and go and talk to the Senate president. Senator Kingibe also followed suit and said, and take about 10 women and go there. And I was around with many former leaders of national political parties, including distinguished Senator Olujimi. We have our sister Inachi Roma. We had a couple of others, Honorable, Josephine Anini and everybody on ground. And we decided to visit the Senate president. We went on negotiation. I don't want to go into the details because if you're a mediator, you should protect all those you have heard, and you have no right to divulge most of the things that they have. But what I can tell you is that I led a team to the Senate president, and he listened to us. And we had a lot of discussions. In fact, that very day, we met with all the principal officers, the Senate president, the leader of the House, distinguished Senator Okpayemi. We had the chief whip, the deputy chief whip, we had even the deputy Senate president came and met us here. And the minority leader, the majority leader, everybody was on ground. And we talked to them. We don't have seats. We have only four women. We cannot afford to lose one more seat. And so we went on, we discussed with them. I say in leadership, you lead everyone, even those who may hurt you, in several ways, because in leadership, you lead the bad and the good and the ugly. Every child, everybody that is in the room, you have to lead them. Even when they go astray, you have to bring them back. It's like a mother. Beating a child does not mean that you are going to disown a child. You bring them back. And so we negotiated. I again led a team to meet with Senator Natasha. We had a whole lot of discussion. Should we go on and discuss or not? Because this was the first time that I was meeting the Senate president and all many of the principal leaders. Some of them I knew, like the distinguished Senator Okpayemi, who were schoolmates in the trenches, as members of the National Association of Nigerian Students. And so, very familiar. And then, so we had a lot of talk, discussions. Should we go ahead? At that point, we were given the go-ahead to go back and negotiate. We went back to the team of the Senate president and the Senate president and his team, and we had to come back again. For more than 2 weeks, I was not sleeping. I did not go to the Commission on the Status of Women meeting in New York, which every other woman went to. I could not go because I was negotiating. Sleepless nights. But I can tell you, we met a deadlock in the end because we went to the Senate president and came back again. But I have always advocated, let her come back, because what we have had is like 3 seats, in the Senate, and the constituency is losing. And so we're excited that they have unsealed her office and let it come back, but our leaders need to be answerable to the law. Okay. And we need to continue. The political leadership, the tokenism that is being done to women is something that we have to combat. Through the bill, the special seat bill, they will be able to correct some of the imbalance that we have in public representation so that they are not only four people you can't hear their voice. 14 out of 360 you cannot hear their voice. 14 houses of assembly, not a single woman there. And so the issue of representation is an issue that we need to protect the women. The few women that are there, we need to protect them. Okay. By this bill, you'll be able to correct the imbalance. Okay,
and very briefly, we seem to have run out of time. There is no argument that underrepresented groups in society, whether women or physically challenged persons, should be part of the process of inclusion so that society can be, represented by the whole. But the challenge is between policy and action, policy and practice. Even if this legislation you are pushing succeeds, how do you hope to navigate the attitude of Nigerian politicians, the misogyny in society, traditional cultural practices? That, in my view, will be where the real battle will be, even when the law is enacted. Are you still optimistic on that score?
I am optimistic. I have to be hopeful, like being hopeful about Nigeria. I am quite optimistic that when this bill is passed, we'll be able to organize ourselves more. It's important to look at the issues of capacity. we don't have enough capacity in terms of women representation or how many women have been there. But the few women that have been given, the opportunities, they have used it very seriously and raised the status of Nigeria, raised the name of Nigeria across board. And so we will navigate. There are persons with disability, they contested in the last election, our foundation, they're doing a lot. A lot of people are doing so much. And when I was leading ActionAid, even before my leading ActionAid, all my predecessors were involved as a governance team leader. We brought on board a lot on persons with disability, both male and female, coming on board. He who wears the shoes knows where it pinches. You cannot say you will represent women, the people that you are not there. So let's have all the voices. Inclusivity is the way to go. But we need the political will. And we need the government of the country to create the change that we deserve. And then free and fair election will take us on a better ride.
Okay, thank you very much, NLB, for joining us on The Morning Show.